Today's question is, Anthony, what's the difference between just working out and training?
I got my armor now, no fear, no doubt, can't shoot me down, yeah. I got my armor now, no fear, no doubt, gonna shoot me down, 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 now.
So a lot of people think, I'm going to do a workout or I'm going to train. They're synonyms, right? They can mean the exact same thing. It's just semantics. But really it's not, all right? And we want to make sure people understand the difference between these two terms because we think one is more effective than the other. All right? Now when people think of training, all right, usually they have some sort of goal they're training for. I'm training for a 5K. I'm training for some sort of event. I'm training for this, whatever it is, all right? So there's a goal in mind. And if you're training for something, usually your steps to get there or what you're doing will lead you to that end goal. All right? So, but that's not the only thing, because you can have a goal and still do workouts to try to get to your goal. All right, but that's not as effective as actually training for it. So when you think about training needs to be kind of like a stair steps, right? You're walking up stairs, but you have to take one stair at a time. You can't just hop to the very top or skip a bunch of steps. You need to progressively work your way up. I mean, it's just like in school. You learn your ABCs, and you learn, like sight words, and then you learn different, smaller, easier words until you progress your way up to your reading more complex words and higher levels. You can't just hand a kindergartner a middle school level book and tell them just learn how to read. It's too advanced. They need the little baby step stair steps to get up to where they are. Now with fitness, it's the exact same thing. All right, when you're training, you need to have stair steps. You need to start and something builds on top of another thing. All right, so whenever you're doing a training session, hopefully what you're doing in your training session is preparing you for the next step. Now that next step can look different ways. It can be maybe a heavier weight. It could be maybe more reps in a set. It could be something that's a little bit more complicated, right? Something that's a little more advanced that requires a little more integration of the whole body. All right, and there's a million ways to think about it, but when you think about all these maybe exercises you see people do, you need to understand, if you want to do that, have you done the prerequisite work to qualify yourself to get there? You can't just jump in and doing things that are kind of crazy without building the necessary foundation. So training sessions build your foundation brick by brick, and so until you're able to have a more complex and rich and full movement ability. Now, unfortunately, a lot of people just do workouts and they view, I'm just going to work out. My only goal is just to get sweaty and run around and be entertained. And if that's your only goal, I'm not going to stop you. Go ahead. But I think you're going to short yourself on what you're capable of in the long term because you're not building steps. You're just going to show up. I'm just going to do a bunch of random stuff, and as long as I do a bunch of random stuff, it'll give me a kind of a whole mix of what I need. But that's not the case, because you can be creating holes in your movement ability, and you're also really not preparing yourself well. You may be jumping a little bit too far ahead, and you're going to end up paying for it with injuries, overuse, burnout, something like that. So when you think about exercise and fitness, start where you are and just build the abilities you need to progress to the next level. And maybe you don't know what that next level is and what's required to get there. That's why we exist, right? That's why we do what we do at Fitness Lion Net. We want to help you understand, all right, where do you want to be? Here's the things we need to build in order to have this complete picture of what your goals are. Let's make a program that builds on it week after week, right? Session after session, that slowly puts those bricks in place until you have a nice building. So remember, training is better than workouts. So until next time, move better, train smarter.